What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And guys, in this video, what I'd like to do is I want to give you guys a sneak peek as to what we do in our group sessions, because I get a lot of questions as to what goes on between our group sessions and our trade room and stuff like that. So I figured I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek into what happens in our group sessions that we have every Sunday for our mentorship members. This video is it's going to be about 15 minutes long, and it's literally just a small piece of this session. Was about 2 hours long that we did on during our Sunday group session. So I hope you enjoy, guys. I hope you get an inside look as to what we actually do in that particular group session. So without further ado, guys, let's get this week started. All right, so everybody can see my screen, yes?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's break this previous week down here. So let's go. All right, so let's see what we got for this past week on pound USD. All right, so let's play this real quick. So the first thing is right off the bat, you have a 21 pip range, right? And then we have two candles into the box. You have basically a second leg here of a W. Now, this is actually part of a bigger W from the previous week, right? So previous week's low and this week's low gives you basically a big multi-session W. But you still see the setup just on Sunday, Monday. There's your crossover, there's second leg, and you go all the way up. Now this particular, looking at 100. You're looking at 110 pip London range just on Sunday, Monday. All right, so as you go along here, you see that because you had such a big range on Sunday, Monday, essentially you don't get anything pretty much during the US session, right? So the average ADR for pound USD, I believe, is 108 pips. So if you move 110 during London, I mean, not very much movement left for you to do during the US session. So if you see something like this, right, happen in one session, you already know that the probability of you moving or getting any kind of a good trade set up to trade in the next session is pretty small. Unless it's news induced, it's going to be a very small percentage for you to actually get a trade. All right, so we go on to the next day. Does anybody see? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Would you call that a type 2 out of the
This
Asian?
here? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
the type 2 because the bottom here is also at the bottom of the Asian range.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So this here is, let's see, a 90 pip range. Asia range is about 30 pips. So we move out and immediately go up. This creates the high of the day. And then you would have essentially, so a first leg here, second leg there, and then moves down. Right now, here's one thing I want you guys to notice is the fact that because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 candles that make up the middle of the M, right? Look what happens essentially to the EMAs. They're so spread out that they don't have time to catch up. So they don't get caught up until all the way down here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention to that, because that's going to be important for you to notice. The better trades, the best possible trades that you can get out of an M or a W is when you have 8 candles in between the first and second leg, because that basically gives time for these two essentially to be right next to each other when that second leg comes out. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
And if you guys have questions, do me a favor, put them in the chat. All right. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. So yeah, so that was that particular day. And so same thing, you have 30 pips, 90 pip in London. So you don't get anything essentially during the US session. It just moves sideways and consolidates. Now some traders may have thought possibly this would have been a trade, right? The problem is that because you've already moved so much during the London, it doesn't leave you very much room to pick up something from the US session. One thing that you'll notice a lot is during the US session is if you have the 50 above you, right, and you're down here during the US session, price typically will go to the 50 and stop. So that's typically where you get the majority of your trades is, maybe 15 to 20 pips during the US session. Right. So if you thought that this was maybe let's say a type 1 setup as a W here, you could take that, but just know that you're not going to get, some crazy amount of pips, because it's basically going to stop at the 50 for the majority of the time. So as you go on to the next day, do you see a setup here? 36 pip Asian range. You have essentially a move up here, which creates the first leg, move down, move up, and then back down. There's 78 pips almost, 36 pip range. So let's see what happens during the New York session on here. It just moves right back to where the middle of the range comes right back down. So the trade is that there. On Thursday, can you already see the trade? $20 pip range. Go down, come back up, stop in the middle of the range, and you drop. Notice how it conveniently has stops in the middle of the range. But not only that, but it pins to the 200 EMA. So you have the 200 EMA here, you have the 800 EMA going across as well. So this is what, 101 pip London session on pound USD. So you don't expect much of a movement basically to happen during the US session. And of course, what happens if you think that this is going to be, if you take this as, let's say, a W, which you shouldn't have taken until the US box opened, because by the time that you get the second leg here, it's outside of the box, right? So it's not until you get to the US box that it opens. Well, look where it goes. It goes right to the 50 and it stops. And this is Friday. So do you see any trades on Friday? It's 108 pip range for the day. You got 31 of it during the Asian range. You had news here on this candle because that's what causes that. And this is also news also. This is NFP basically. So you can see whenever you have this type of behavior where it's literally pins, and it's basically just doing this. It's not doing anything, right? You have that, and then you have the 50 going across, the 5 going across, the 13 going across. You got all these EMAs going straight through price. You're bound to get nothing but sideways movement for that day. So if you see, if price is going straight through, or if the EMAs are going straight through price like this, you can expect that type of behavior. Now, the good thing about that actually happening is that because that's actually happening, there's going to be a big breakout that happens out of this, because all that this is doing is just creating a level straight across, straight across, straight across. That's all they're doing. They're just collecting as many contracts as possible right here. And this is going to have a breakout. It happens all the time. So that's 1 week in pound USD, and you basically had pretty clear setups every day of the week except for Friday. Felipe, so 8 candles or less are still good, but we have to be careful. Yes. Yeah, so you have to be careful with when you don't have 8 candles in between, because it doesn't give the 13 and 5 a chance to get caught up to where price is. Remember that all the indicators lag, every single one of them. So the more candles that you have in between a first and a second leg, the more time it gives those two indicators, those two EMAs, to get caught up with each other. So when the second leg drops, it's right there, and you're not taking something that's already, well on its way. All right, guys, welcome back. So I hope that watching that small part of the group session helped you understand, some of the things that we go through in the Sunday group session with our mentorship members. All right. So if this kind of stuff is something that would help you, or this is something that you want to see more of, we have a new class starting June 8th. The links are in the description if you want the information. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your week.